Hi, I'm Jelle.
Hi, I'm Gerben.
Right, so...
Yes, Jelle. Today you're going to show me something about clarity. I don't really know what it is, so yeah, I hope you can show
that. How did you know that? You must be clairvoyant. Excellent joke to start with. Alright, Clarity, Microsoft Clarity. It's a new product. It's like maybe a year old, I think. Maybe slightly less even. And it's a sort of web analytics tool. So it can be used to view user behavior on your website.
Good.
So what's the first web analytics tool that you think of?
Google Analytics, but also things like Hotjar or other ways to record user behavior on a website.
So this is, of course, this is Microsoft's take on it. It can be used in supplement to other solutions. It can be used on its own. And I want to take a look at it because I've been really, assisting some of my clients in increasing their journey to DevOps. And one of the questions I get a lot is, how do we know what we're doing is correct, and how are we going to make sure that that our visitors to our website are actually doing the things that we expect them to be doing? How do we know that they're happy with our website? Of course, you could start asking around. Maybe you should do that too. Yeah. But as a developer, we like automating things, and this is, of course, a way to.
Yeah, and if you have metrics, metrics can show you really interesting details.
Yes, I agree. So this is the website, Microsoft Clarity, and then of course some beautiful advertising stuff, and very important that you have this on your website. Quick explanation, but it's actually really easy to sign up. You need a Microsoft account. You sign up. You sign up some sort of Microsoft account that you want to use as your main account. And then you can start inviting others. You can also use Facebook or Google accounts. And once you have like a setup, you can start adding projects. So
okay, but it's something you set up on a dedicated website. So it's not something that you do, for instance, on the Azure portal, or is it? But
good question. Excellent question. So once I have a Clarity account, I can add multiple projects, and each project refers to a website. So I can use multiple websites. It's not something that the account for Clarity is not something I use for a dedicated website. But of course, like for instance Google Analytics, you'll need some sort of JavaScript, some sort of code snippet on a website that you're going to register. It's not.
Yeah, you need to add a small thing so that
Yeah, so it works semi-automatically. There is some configuration that you'll need to do on your website, but it's actually really small. So I asked some of my colleagues to visit my super awesome website. I think this is one of my proudest moments. Let's take a look at it. This is the website called Clarity Demo. As you can see, it's hosted in Azure. It's I think my masterpiece, and it is in no way a cheap and quick rip-off of the default Blazor app. So as you can see, it's a really quick website where there's 4 pages. This one has a completely unfamiliar, never before seen counter that of course increments. We have the weather forecast, which is also something I completely made myself, and I added something. Click here and it doesn't work. Okay, so that's great. That's I can assure you I'm also good at building websites that function. But for our purposes today,
it's good enough to show the features of Clarity.
Yes, this is a dead link. It has all kinds of stuff. And in this website, in the head, there is a small script, and that script sends the user behavior data to my linked Microsoft Clarity account.
Yeah, so with the script, I guess you have some kind of token, or maybe you're going to show where we can get that token. And
yes. Okay. Yeah. Basically, once the data is sent, so I'm first gonna show how it looks like when you've configured it correctly, and then maybe we'll dive into setting up a new website. As you can see, this is my Microsoft Clarity account. And I'm currently looking at my current project, which is only the Clarity demo. And if I could add multiple projects here, I could add multiple websites.
Multiple websites, so multiple applications.
Let's say that I'm feeling like I'm gonna get rich really soon, and I am hosting Google. If I would add this project, then it will say, right, you'll have to install Clarity.
Okay.
You can install it quickly with a third party, or you can just do it all yourself. This is it.
That's a snippet that you need to insert in the head of your...
In the head as a small script. So it's really easy to install. Of course, if you do this, then and your website would be visited by customers of a European persuasion, customers affected by the GDPR, then this is theoretically not enough. You can configure Clarity in a way that it doesn't really break the GDPR requirements at all. But if you want like tracking user sessions, well, you already, then you start maybe identifying a user that's not necessarily allowed. You'll need a cookie opt-in or opt-out. And if you want to do that, then this snippet is enough. You'll need to configure you'll need to build some own.
Okay, but there's some configuration that you can insert in some way in the script or something.
So if I go back to my actual project, and I'll go to settings, so there's 4 options here. But if I go to settings, and I go to the setup in the advanced settings, you'll notice that I've turned off cookies. So I've turned it off after a while to maybe look at the difference. The difference isn't spectacular on a small website like mine, but the difference mainly is that if you turn off the cookies, then each page visit is treated as a separate user because it can't track any user. Yeah. And if you turn on the cookies, then yes, you can track users across their session. But of course, you've placed the cookie, and that requires some extra step, like a fun pop-up banner. And as you saw, my beautiful website works without a cookie banner. So
very cool. So if you want to have some basic overview of how users in general use your website, but when you don't have that tracking cookie, does it store things like user agents or screen width? Do you know the setting of a user?
Yes.
Okay.
That's still stored because it's it's anonymous. Of course, there's another important thing. There's a bit of a, trick that if you track a user's behavior and they type in their name, for instance, that's also
could
a
also
problem.
Identify them through their name.
Which could be a bit. So there's an option to say, okay, let's just mask all the text, but then you'll also mask, for instance, your own buttons and titles. Mark sensitive text. Based on AI, it will identify, wait, this is a text box that's filled in by the user, let's maybe mask that, and then it's not even stored. Or, well, they'll call it relaxed, but I'll call it consent needed. There's no text masking at all.
Everything is just sent, and
which is basically what you see is what you get, but then in reverse. And of course, you can even start masking specific elements if the AI is not enough.
Okay, so you could add custom elements.
Yeah. So there's some more settings. There's a tour. Of course, a tour is needed because it's a cool product. And as I said, you can add some team members to your project so that you can work together with someone else. So that not all the Clarity analysis falls on the shoulders of one person. So, all right, back to the dashboard, enough settings. What are we looking at? So first, there's some, I think, word choices that may or may not be known to all. For instance, I would say that a dead click, some would inherently know, okay, so that's a dead click. Some wouldn't. I think we all know in what way a rage click, that sounds something that we know. But I'll just the dead click. Of course, there's information if you need it, but dead click means that there's no. It looks clickable to the user, and they clicked it, but there was no effect. So then maybe the styling of this element.
It's not good enough. They think that there's something there. Which okay.
Yeah. A rage click means you're gonna hear this. that's the rage click.
Okay, so if there is multiple clicks in a second or
Usually,
in a time frame.
Yes, usually that indicates that something is slow, or that your users
that they're frustrated about
really
something.
frustrated with you. Great thing to track, I think. Excessive scrolling indicates, probably your user is searching for something and can't find it.
Can't find it, yeah.
A quick back, that means you visit the page, you immediately hit back. The user immediately saw, wait, this isn't where I wanted to go, and or something was clickable way too easily, and they navigated because of it. So we're looking currently at the last 3 days, and I purposely didn't do anything on this website, and luckily I had no new visitors. So we can see that the most popular page was the dead link page. Awesome. And we have no real referrers. So this is all stuff that's also in Google Analytics, and I would say Google Analytics does this a bit better, a bit more broad. So if you're looking for that kind of functionality, Clarity can assist and can enhance Google Analytics, but it's not what it's meant for.
Do you have access to the actual background information that's being tracked, so the raw data? Because this is a dashboard, and maybe if you want to add other metrics, is it something that's possible?
Not currently.
Okay.
So that's a good question. I would think that this is something that Microsoft will be working on if requests are coming in. But it's currently not possible to extend it that way. Although there's still plenty of functionality I haven't mentioned. So maybe at the end you'll think, that's still enough.
Possible. Yeah. Okay.
So your earlier question, can you see who is who? Well, I'm currently on a Windows in apparently Chrome. That's interesting. That's not me. On a PC from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So
maybe Edge, and it's identified as Chromium.
Yeah, but I'm currently.
Oh, you're Firefox, yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently. Maybe we found a bug, but I think I visited maybe earlier in Chrome. So you can create segments, which I did for this demo, where you say, okay, I'm interested in looking at a specific time frame, and or a specific regex for my URL. So a specific page, or even if you have subdomains, you can filter by subdomain. So here's, I think, the most interesting dashboard that we have, which shows us all kinds of metrics, like the amount of dead clicks, which for a page which is 1/4 broken links, I think I'm doing quite well, actually. And we can see, the refers, etc. There were no rage clicks, so the colleagues I've asked have behaved themselves very nicely. Even though I asked them to break the site, but I think, telling a developer to break a site means they'll be happy. We had a lot of quick backs, which makes sense in a website that's basically nothing. So,
yes. So quick back means somebody pushes navigation and immediately goes back.
No, a quick back is just saying, oh, this is not where I wanted to be, and or I thought this was going to be there and it's clearly not. Apparently even some of my friendly colleagues thought, I'll visit your website by phone. Thanks for that, now it shows up. And either some of our colleagues were on holiday, or I've actually managed to get some international traffic.
Or VPN.
That's also a very good possibility. Very good. Then we get to, I'm sorry, a different part of the application. So we're going to look at the projects once more and visit the Clarity demo Heatmap. And of course I'll need to use the segment I've selected, because then we'll see some more. A heat map is basically what you think it is. Where are users clicking on your website? Yeah. The redder something is, the more popular it is, or at least the more often it's clicked. And we can filter by specific navigation tags.
So in the numbers here, is every number a click, or?
No, the numbers here are basically like a legend for the elements over how how popular it is. And of course, you can also scroll, and I could look at the most popular areas. For tablet and mobile, well, there were no tablet visits, but for mobile, of course, the menu was very popular. So stuff like this is really cool to see. And that's the heat map. Basically, the heat map will tell you where users are moving, pointing, clicking, if you're interested in that. So you can also see whether some elements might need a visibility improvement.
Yeah.
And finally, let's look at the recordings tab. So if I go to the Clarity demo recording, and I'll get my segment again for the demo phase, so you can see that there's a lot of recordings. I didn't add a favorite, which I could have done, which would have been smart. But let's take a look at one that's has some duration, and we can just look at what a user did, so we can actually track their behavior. It's just like a movie of the behavior of the user. I haven't picked the most interesting user behavior. Here's someone that visited the page and then did nothing, which is interesting to know, but maybe not as interesting to show. In this functionality, you can start looking around, looking at more recordings that you have. You can favorite some of them. You can look at what users are doing that you didn't expect. If you have more intensive cookie tracking, then you'll be able to, maybe even find, all right, so we know something went wrong. Let's look for a recording that contains these elements in this page during this time frame. Oh, this might be the kind of error that we're looking for. You could even possibly, depending on how many visitors you have, use it for some bug analysis.
Do you know something about the traffic that this generates? Is it sending over, only the positions and the clicks, and is the recording then synthesized on the back end, or how much?
I don't know that, so that's a good question. I should have asked it myself, but I do know that everything is sent asynchronously. Yeah. So I would imagine that your second guess is more logical, because otherwise you'd be streaming.
Streaming a video,
that Clarity will be streaming.
So the video is then synthesized on the back end of Clarity?
Yes, based on the data that it has. Is my guess. I don't know this for sure. If you know it, we have comments. Good. And basically that's what Clarity allows you to do. So it's really easy to configure, especially if if you already have a cookie banner. Then put on all the functionality. Say that Microsoft Clarity is also placing a single cookie, and you can continue. If you don't have a cookie banner, you can choose whether you want to add one, or whether you want to just block everyone protected by the GDPR. If that's your choice.
Yeah. But if you enable that setting, then you need you actually.
Yes, I can't stress that enough. Yeah. It's like Google Analytics, to configure that to be GDPR proof. That's actually I would still like a tutorial for that, because that's kind of hard. Yeah. It's possible. It's kind of hard. For Clarity, it's it's like a toggle. You have the GDPR proof method, and you have the slightly not GDPR proof method, where you'll need like a single agreement from the user, and of course you'll need to allow the user to opt out if that's what you want.
And do you happen to know something about the pricing of this?
It's a great question. So I'm not a salesman, but it's free. So
okay.
So that's really cool.
Interesting.
Great question. I think that's all I wanted to show about Clarity. I would advise you to take a look. It's really easy to configure. So, like I did, set up a website in Azure, add the script that we showed earlier into your head element. Start playing around. Ask some people to visit. Start looking around what Clarity is sending you, and see whether that would be helpful to you in any way.
Okay. Now, Jelle, thank you very much for giving us some clarity. And thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.